Saturday, June 15th, 2024. It's 6:57 a.m. and the reason why I'm showing you where I was at on June 11th, 2022 at the same exact time, 6:55 a.m. Same exact time regarding, these are pictures that I just took regarding the location of the light source that's in its zenith position while I am at the intersection of Ferrari. This is Ferrari and what would be Inland Empire Boulevard in Ontario, California on public transportation, which is where I'm at. I'm on Omnitrans. This is Route 61. This is indeed the Ontario International Airport. This is at 6:41 a.m. just showing you my course of travel on same time of year, nowhere near Los Angeles. This is getting up at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, obviously in the morning. This is where I was at this time of year, and this is what I was documenting, the pattern of conduct where the entity was maintaining a light source in its zenith over me. And if you pay attention to the bottom, this is me inside of my apartment in Los Angeles at 6:57 in the morning. Well, I'm inside of the apartment, the same apartment that I was inside of after 6 p.m., after 5 p.m. yesterday. And you're looking at the maintenance of, this is why it's referred to as the light source, because this is not the sun. This is speaking to what is the pattern of conduct, which is criminal, regarding the federal group stalking and monitoring that the state of California identified through the stalking conduct of the terrorizing behavior, the criminal conduct of the Los Angeles Police Department, which represents what the state of California is engaging in. It is shown through what is the unnatural environment. It is as unnatural as their stalking behaviors using helicopters. Okay, so the demonic behavior is occurring in a demonic environment, and the analysis is also as follows. There is no position of the natural environment. There's no sky space shared. There is no angle inside of my apartment in Los Angeles. There is no palm tree whereby the so-called sun would be in any position to create any sort of coexisting presence. This light source that you see inside of which I'm going to show you again, but I'm going through the pictures where I'm at here. I want to go back to what is 6:55 in the morning, where I am at the intersection of Inland Empire and Ferrari. This is what I'm taking pictures of. I am indeed in Ontario on Route 61 on third-party group stalker Omnitrans, public transportation, where the pattern of conduct is underway, speaking to what's not the sun, but the light source that's remaining directly over me for the duration of the ride on public transportation, street for street, every single turn, just like you see where I'm showing you on video on Clifford and in Los Angeles, California, when I leave Alvarado Gardens Apartments and I'm driving back toward being driven by a third party, just like Omnitrans is a third party that's group stalking. You have what is the light source that's over me at 9:36 in the morning, driving towards Alvarado Gardens for the duration of that ride, which I showed on June 5th, 2024 on the freeway, what is at the DMV, what is remaining over me visible through the windows of that light source, through the window of the DMV for the duration of that ride, street for street, turn for turn. The same impossible occurrence, which is under no circumstances has anything to do or anything common with regard to my location in Ontario, going from the Ontario Museum of History and Arts to Route 61, where I'm getting off at the Ontario Mills Mall on this day, June 11th, is relevant for the ability to see the light source over my head at an early hour. Very early, I got up, began documentation. The light source remains over me the whole time, which is what is so phenomenal about the documentation. It is remarkably impossible that this is the sun that's over me in Los Angeles at the same time, aiming any light, creating any sunlight inside of my apartment, where it is remaining over me at the same time where I am in an entirely different region on Route 61. So in other words, it is clear and it is a fact that there is no sun that's going to be over me while I'm inside of my apartment in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, looking out of my living room window that is facing the direction, generally speaking, east. That's going to be sharing any sky space with the houses on the hillside. There's no sun that's going to be over their houses. There's no light activity that's going to appear into my apartment. There's never going to be any sun that shoots horizontally as though that's the sun through what are closed blinds, creating the pattern of the blinds on my living room window. There is just like you're seeing here. So let me show you the time, because I'm taking pictures of what's occurring Same time of it's June 15th, 6:54, and this is supposed to be the appearance of the sun that is behind the palm trees through my living room window, and this is the light activity that's occurring through the window that is open in my living room, but I'm showing you what is at the same time in an entirely different region. The light source, the whole object is directly over me as I'm looking at it through the window of public transportation on Inland Empire and Ferrari in Ontario, California. That's not going to create any sunlight inside of my living room, inside of my apartment in Los Angeles, California. In addition to that, what are you also mindful of? That the entity maintained this light source, remember, at 8:55 in the morning. So the entity is also suggesting, while you're looking at this light source that's in my window right now, visible outside of the hillside. This is the hillside. What you're looking at, the entity is suggesting that the sun is remaining here 2 hours from now. And this is the same location where it's going to remain, which is again relevant for what you saw well after 5 p.m. yesterday, that the sun is going to be in this position at this hour and still remain in alignment to me, which is well after, let's just, so you can recall what you saw yesterday instead of me reminding you, this is exactly the location where it was at 8:55 in the morning. The entity is suggesting, by the entity, I mean the government that's going to be prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring and their demon possession and their demonic criminal activity, which shall be prosecuted as terrorism in the United States, that the state of California is engaging in, is relevant for purposes of establishing the criminal conduct that is occurring in the within the unnatural, that the natural environment in any way consists of what is a sun that is present now and maintaining presence in this same location as I documented yesterday, which would be captured after 8 o'clock in the morning at 8:55. So that's, I just want to show that side by side. So again, so that you can see that that documentation, which is speaking to, again, the absolute impossibility, speaking to what is, all you have to do is document. The entity goes on a day-by-day basis, is not under any circumstances the natural environment that's not going to be based on what I say and what I do and what I'm doing at any given moment, which is what the demonic environment is consisting of. And it is also readily identifiable because you have that which is impossible. If this is the sun that's at capturing at 6:50 in the morning, 2 hours from now at 8:55 in the morning, when I began capturing pictures and video yesterday, it's not going to be in the same position outside of my living room window. And it certainly is not going to be in the same position outside of my, yesterday was the 14th, here we go. Let's see. There is no position whereby the sun would be, and this isn't rocket science, in any position to maintain presence. Sorry, as I'm trying to go through the dates, that's going to be outside of the same living room window, the same position, in other words. That is stagnated presence, stationary presence. And it's the same thing with regard to being outside of my bedroom window, because I'm at the same address. Outside of my bedroom window is being at the same exact address, the same exact location. And it is nowhere in Ontario at the same time, while I'm capturing that in 2 different regions, even down to what is being very specific, same time of year analysis to compare what is the environment that's surrounding me and the government that's engaging in the same pattern of conduct regarding its behavior in concert with the people of the state regarding their behavior, which is revealing their demon possession while they are stalking together. That is group stalking. So I want to show you that. That's why I'm going through this endeavor of trying to show it. Give me 1 second. And this is just for purposes of comparing. This is for purposes of witnessing literally the demonic. It is something that is fascinating. It is something that's for educational purposes and understanding the reality. Satan is real, and the ability to have an affect on the environment is not something that it's, in other words, very highly deceptive, not the operation of the natural environment. So, and also you're aware of, you are aware of the high level of deception that is present. So there's a couple of things that I could go through right now, but I'm going to focus on the 14th in the morning first, where I am showing 8:32, here we go, 8:50, which is where I began documenting right here. Oops. So in order to show, here you go, this is impossible that this is the sun at the same location that you're looking at it. This is the top was what was documented yesterday. And this is the same living room window. This is at the current time right now. It is 7:07 in the morning. This is the pattern of conduct, and I'm showing you what is federal group stalking and monitoring. This is exactly the same location where I stood yesterday, and the entity is in this same exact location. This is remaining here. Remember, as I captured video that started at 8:55 and it ended at approximately 10:23 in the morning, this is again suggesting that the natural environment consists of a sun that would maintain this position from 6:55, 6:56, 7, 8, 9, 4 hours later, okay? 3.5, 4 hours later, still outside of my living room window. The course of that video that I captured yesterday is literally the pattern of conduct as it's remaining outside of my living room window from 8:55 until 10:20, approximately 10:23, 10:25 in the morning. As I'm literally showing you, I'm even beyond that because I even used the California Superior Court. I am documenting the California Supreme Court, by the way, while I'm documenting this, but I am documenting the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at 10:29 in the morning while that video is still underway, and the light source is in the same position. That's not the sun. Just with regard to the ability to use the time, my location at the time, the same time of year analysis, the light activity that's surrounding, and what would be under all circumstances impossible. And again, so what you're looking up at the top is what the entity was aiming through my living room window at 8:55 in the morning. It's currently, 7:09 in the morning, and the sun is a gaseous ball of fire that's engaged in what is constant movement. And there is no iteration of the natural environment that's ever going to consist of maintaining presence in the same environment outside of my living room window, for example, and maintaining presence as I documented yesterday. Where you're looking at it now outside of my living room window, it remained outside of my living room window as I documented yesterday in the afternoon at 6 in the evening. The light source is still maintaining presence outside where the entity is indeed group stalking. That's the light source outside of my bedroom window inside of the same apartment at what is 6:15, and that is the group stalking conduct by the Los Angeles Police Department in helicopters. This is the hallmark. They are at this great distance, targeting me with the sound of helicopter activity. This is helicopter activity that's coexisting with what is the phenomenon of the maintenance of the sun. I want you to clear. This is the same apartment. This is the living room window up at the top at what is 6:10 is when I started capturing this video, and this is the phenomenon that the sun would ever be in any position while I'm inside of the same apartment while you're looking at it right now. Okay, let's count the hours together. 7 in the morning, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 11 hours from now. The entity is providing evidence again, speaking to what is absolutely conclusive evidence regarding the demon possession and the criminal conduct that is relevant to what the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department were cornered in, which is their group stalking behaviors in the state of California, representing the government, engaging in the same exact criminal activity that the Los Angeles Police Department is engaging in. As I captured this phenomenon on video inside of a private space, which is how it's going to be prosecuted, while they're engaging in a sex offense. This is surveillance that's underway while they are stalking in a helicopter, and from the distance while I'm inside of my apartment, the fact that it would be impossible that helicopter activity should be a disturbance to my quiet enjoyment, that I would even have any knowledge that they are present flying over the apartment complex, not even physically over my apartment, but yet it's creating such a disturbance regarding what is audible activity creation amongst what is engineered light. Okay. Flying at this distance for purposes of what is ongoing Hold on one second, because you're looking at the maintenance of the light source while I am in the same position. This is speaking to not only the criminal conduct, but the state of California, and what the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is doing as I documented it and showed you the light source in this same manner at 9:03, which is impossible that would be the case in Pomona, California, as I remained right here on video yesterday from 8:55 until after 10:29 in the morning. There's no sun that's over the Pomona Transit Center. There's no sun that's going to be in the manner that I captured it. It's not going to be, it's clearly the whole entirety of this object is remaining here. And it's also not going to be in a position where it's over anyone driving over Clifford Street, which is on the opposite side of this apartment complex at 9:36 in the morning, and still over the same street, Clifford Street, after 6 o'clock in the evening. That's not the sun. And the earlier that the entity aims this light source, which I've captured it even earlier than I did today, the more complete, more concrete, the more comprehensive and thorough, and the more convinced you are regarding what is evidence that it is irreducible. You cannot, in other words, reasonably disregard it. Not only is the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles Police Department demon possessed, their corruption is rooted in what is their demon demon possession, and it is federal group stalking and monitoring that they are being documented engaging in, and they're doing that with the people of the state who share the same condition. Remember, the people of the state are the demons who drive by and engineer light moves all across buildings. That's exactly what you've seen occurring on more than one occasion, which is a pattern at 1826 Lobdell Place. An absolute impossibility, especially while the sun is rising over me at the same time at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where there is no shared sky space over 1826 Lobdell. There's no sun that's going to be over 1826 Lobdell Place in Ontario, seen through my living room window at 1806 North Alvarado and up in Los Angeles, and also in its zenith over my head while I am sleeping at 225 North Euclid Avenue, South Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. Okay, having never come anywhere near the California DMV, where it would be hovering over that DMV office, but also remaining over my head while I'm in an entirely different region. That's the pattern of conduct. And this is what is showing the phenomenon of federal group stalking and monitoring while I'm inside of the same apartment. And this is where occurring at 6:15 in the morning while I'm inside of the same apartment. This is the pattern of conduct that the people of the state, which represent speaker companies, which is why they're all going to federal prison. And I want to be clear, the demon possessed want to silence the target individual who is subject to their demonic and criminal conduct, the high level malicious criminal activity that they're engaging in, and wanting to silence you about the fact that they are demons while doing so and seeking to silence me. Let me be clear, that's a very serious federal offense that the government is going to address. And it is evidence in a document provided to me by the people who are speaking on behalf of the state. The state that's stalking in this manner that I documented at 6:10 in the evening while I'm inside of the same apartment, showing you what is impossible, that the sun is outside of this bedroom window at the end of this hallway. I don't live in a mansion. This is a 2-bedroom apartment. It's approximately about 916 square feet. So outside of that bedroom window, there would be no sun, which is 11 hours later, that's going to be in the same position for me to see it in the way that I'm looking at it now, to aim any sunlight inside of my apartment in the way that I'm going to remind you of what I documented yesterday. It is revealing both the demon possession, the malicious criminal activity that's operated in concert with the people of the state. That's why this phenomenon is present. I'm not just showing you the phenomenon, I'm letting you know why the phenomenon is there, because of the criminal system that is underway, and it is a government system, and it is demonic at its core, revealing the condition of those that are in that environment and that are engaging in that concerted criminal activity. And there are serious federal consequences. Everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. In the same way, every state actor engaging in group stalking at courthouses while being sheriff's deputies, while being police officers, for example, are going to federal prison. Okay? In other words, every officer whose face I got your mug on camera, on video, you're going to federal prison, period. All right, so I want to make sure that I got your license plate like I did the Glendale Police Department. I got their faces also. I'm just giving you an example of what is the surefire consequences of engaging in what is terrorism that the federal government is being apprised of, and that they will punish upon understanding even well beyond what I have broken down clearly and articulated for the ability of any person to understand, let alone the federal government, who will go well beyond making leaps and bounds with regard to what the state is necessarily engaging in for a criminal purpose. Okay, so I want to make sure that I show this, because this is what the entity was doing at 6:10 in the evening. Pay attention. While I'm at the same exact location, which is capturing what is absolutely impossible. In addition to, even on a smaller scale, that the sun would be in the same position at 8:55 in the morning. The sun is going to be in constant movement from 1 hour to the next. It's not going to be in the same position. Okay, and it's not going to be aiming any of this sunlight that you see inside of my apartment while it's over me on Route 61, same time of year, going toward what is the Ontario Mills Mall. And I'm capturing literally down to the same minute at 6:55 in the morning. There's no sunlight inside of my apartment, meaning there's no position of any sun in perfect alignment with my apartment, which, by the way, doesn't even have anything to do with the engineer light, because you've seen it appearing in the depths of my hallway. What Satan forgets, and then you're supposed to be you're supposed to forget this. There is real consequences for what's being documented, and it's going to be accounted for people that are going to pay the price for what they are engaging in, while the entity provides this wealth of documentation. There is a whole pattern of conduct that's being documented. And what you see here is not separate from what you saw in the depths of my hallway, and what you see on my ceilings and all over the bedroom walls every day, and what you see the people of the state doing every day, and what you see the entity doing just like you do on video here, speaking to what is the same exact pattern of conduct, speaking to what is a phenomenon, a scientific impossibility, which is giving greater context to the criminal conduct of the state of California, who likes to engage in terrorism in helicopters. That's what these demons in California like to do, and they're going to federal prison for it. They will be permanently removed from the areas in government and in law enforcement where they are facilitating and seeking to obstruct justice for their inevitable exposure by the Lord Jesus. Okay, I want to be clear. What darkness is engaging in had an expiration date. That's why they are being exposed in ways that they cannot avoid. Okay, so this is the entity that is engaging in group stalking at 6:15 while I'm inside of the same apartment. This is capturing both the phenomenon and giving context to what is criminal conduct while the elements of monitoring are underway. Your path, doing so in relevant. Hold on. Here you go. Inside my bedroom. In perfect alignment with me. That's amplification. Great distance of the helicopter, though. So that's disrupting my quiet enjoyment inside of the apartment for me to be able to hear it. And it's occurring so often that I already know to capture the presence of this helicopter because of the ongoing maintenance of an engineered environment that's also inside of my apartment, disrupting and violating, interfering with my quiet enjoyment rights. It will not only be based on the amplification of heavy helicopter activity, which is pointing out what is federal group stalking and monitoring by the state, and what is inevitably occurring, the criminal conduct of the people of the state that live both on Alvarado Gardens who are going to federal prison. But everybody, as you see covered in this engineered light, they're all going to be prosecuted for that. And that's the ease with which you will be prosecuted for what you are inevitably linked to, because that's why it's here, and that's why it's all over your property. That's why you are not coincidentally but systematically engaging in concerted conduct in that environment with that state. That's a system. And you don't have any legally relevant basis to not deny, because there's nothing you can deny or refuse or avoid being prosecuted, okay? So, and being, avoiding any identification as what you are. You're a sex offender and you're a terrorist, all right? You are a threat to the public, and it's going to be a matter of public information, all right? That's amplification, okay? Heard inside of flying at this distance for purposes of what is ongoing, crossing a path, doing so in relevant position. So first of all, I want to be clear, zooming in, you can see the net on my window, but you can see the helicopter before I zoom in, and then this net on the window is what the camera focuses on. But it's the helicopter is at a distance, and you can see it before I zoom in. That's amplification, okay? Heard inside of flying at this distance. So make sure that you can see that. That's the helicopter right there flying over building 1802 in alignment to me. That's relevant positioning, first of all. They are group stalking me while they are at the heightened ability, the heightened volume of what a demon is engaging in is how a demon is wanting to at the same time appear distant, but there's no appearance of distance when you're heavily stalking and you're doing so in conformity to a pattern of conduct. The group stalking conduct by the state is what is going to pin down the state's pattern of group stalking and doing so in a malicious manner, flying at a distance, but yet targeting with the sound of that helicopter, which is impossible that I will be able to hear it. That's how you're recognizing the demon possession. At the same time, you're also prosecuting for malice. The entity is doing so in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct. That is, terrorist organizations before LAPD found itself being surrounded by evidence, insurmountable evidence that it will face in federal court. And I mean individuals by name, not just the department. No department is hiding behind any titles. It's going to be individualized down to their name, those demons' names, and they will be prosecuted and people will be going to federal prison for it. So the entity is engaging in what is maintaining this environment, which is the engineered light, the light source, 11 hours from now outside of my same apartment in alignment with me, not in alignment with building 1802, not in alignment with anything occurring in Ontario, California, not in alignment with any other location. Because it's impossible that the sun is anywhere over any other state while it's outside of my bedroom window in the evening, okay? And it's also impossible that the sun would be visible through the window of any bus line, Route 61, while it is remaining in alignment to me here inside of my apartment as I'm looking outside of my living room window. That's impossible that would be the case, okay? So that's what I'm showing you, and that's not rocket science, that's common sense. As clearly as you see this light source, this is exactly where it remains, and it is not over Route 61 seen through any bus window, Route 61 for the entirety of the route, which in and of itself is speaking to the P.O.C. That's not the sun that would be even capable of doing that. Over to everyone, everywhere, no matter where you're at, no matter what time you get on that bus line. There's a whole body of evidence that pre-exists the entity engaging in this absent entity, keeping a light source, not the sun, outside over me at the same apartment for 11 hours, plus 11 hours, okay? So this is the light source. For purposes of what is on. Okay, just to make sure that you can indeed see. That's the helicopter right there. Flying at this distance for purposes of what is ongoing, crossing a path, doing so in relevant position. So first of all, this is the unnatural environment, the sun. Okay, so this is 6:10 in the evening. This is the current time is 7:22. That's the P.O.C. right there. But it goes beyond that. It's not going to be present 9 hours later at the same apartment. It's 6:10 p.m. Second of all, when they're at that great distance, I'm starting the video. This is speaking to audible activity creation and it's criminal facilitation. Everybody that's in the environment is monitoring with the LAPD, who's engaging in what is a demonstration of demon possession. The amplified sound, the level of volume of a helicopter that's at a great distance physically from me, well before they cross path, and the entity is targeting the sound of the helicopter inside of my apartment. That's how I'm able to capture video, be already in position to show the world. That's engineer light on the outside of the apartment building. So the entity is hitting the window this is supposedly sunlight that touches the window, and the shape of the window reflects and hitting off of the adjacent building. And what you see is the engineer light piercing through the window, even through closed blinds. So I want to speak to what's entirely impossible. You're looking at the same thing. The outside of the building where the engineer light's hitting the windows, the inside where the engineer light is hitting the windows, and it's a magnification of light that's not sunlight. Okay, and what also coexists is what you've seen is the entity maintaining what is engineer light. This is at a downward trajectory. You're looking at it inside of my apartment, appearing both above and below. Don't forget about that evidence that's on the record as well. You see in the depths of the hallway, in the shaded hallway, while the windows are closed. Okay, this is what you saw at 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. The light that's appearing at the top of my hallway in the shade while the windows are closed. And why did Satan provide that? Okay, and I'm talking about the demonic. The demons that are witnessing their criminal conduct and their condition being exposed to the world will engage in replicating what I expose about them, like an idiot. You're talking about a stalker that is literally speaking to the defects of the demon possessed. They are hollow beings. They're the living dead. You ever seen I Am Legend? They're literally, they're vacant on the inside. And this is an unfortunate reality with regard to demon possession. They don't have their own identity. They don't even have an original thought. So all the entity is doing is replicating what I pointed out about their criminal conduct, and the entity engages in what is providing that very pivotal evidence against an entire entity. There is no natural iteration of the natural environment. Never. First of all, that's not the sun, nor is this going to be sunlight that you're seeing here. And in the middle of the afternoon, some sort of angle of natural light that's not sunlight, that's not relevant to what is demonic or a pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. No, somehow sunlight, the pattern of the blinds is going to appear at the top of the the top ceiling area of my hallway. And that just so happens to be on the same day that I pointed out that very specific iteration of stalking with light inside of my apartment. Stalking with light is direct evidence, not circumstantial. It's direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring, by the way, while the entity provided that. And I went through that yesterday. This is what is stalking in helicopters and engineer light on the outside of the building, engineer light coming through the windows. That's not sunlight. Not sunlight. You're looking at what is under no circumstances has nothing to do with the light source. That's not the sun outside. That will be present at the same location 11 hours later, like I'm showing you up at the top at 6:10 yesterday. That's not the sun. That's a demonic environment. This is showing you who are the demons focused on. They're focused on me, and they're group stalking me. And they're group stalking in an unnatural environment. And everything about their environment, as you pay attention and break it down, is entirely demonic as well. But you're talking about what is speaking to the evidence. The evidence of group stalking is the engineered light. The evidence of group stalking is the light source. The evidence of group stalking is the stalking behavior by the state that acts directly. Stalking in helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance. And then you are looking at, it trickles right down to what the people of the state are doing, who are maintaining presence on behalf of that state in that unnatural environment, group stalking. And they also provide evidence to that end while they group stalk and engineer light begins moving all over businesses and public establishments and all over the asphalt in a manner that is never occurring with regard to if that was the sun and whether sunlight ricochets off your car. It does not. This is not rocket science. That's evidence that the people of the state provided. Okay, and these are the demons are group stalking, and they are witnessing their exposure, and so the entity replicated that phenomenon for prosecutorial purposes. So this is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis, not exercising any independent thought, literally stalking and following me, literally mocking, not even mocking, but copying, a copycat of everything that I do, even as I point out their criminal conduct. Even as I point out the red arrows, oh, red flag, this is group stalking, this is evidence of group stalking, the entity will engage in providing more of that. And that's what I documented with regard to the engineered light. But this is what I want to point out to you. This is not sunlight as the light hits a window outside the building, ricocheting and appearing on the adjacent building. And you have what is inside. This is what you're looking at here, hitting the window outside. And this is magnification of light that's occurring on the inside. Also, not limited to a downward trajectory. This is absolutely impossible light activity. Absolutely impossible. This is the entity is suggesting that the sun that is beside us, not above all of us, it's beside us, and it shoots light horizontally through surfaces. And then off of those surfaces, it's bouncing off of surfaces like you see outside and piercing through. This is very highly magnified, enhanced light. That's not sunlight. This is for the monitoring purposes of a bunch of demons that are engaging in group stalking in relevant position and federal stalking using communication devices. Okay? This is, in other words, the population of psychopaths. All right, who are puppets of Satan, are literally sitting around witnessing their own exposure and their criminal conduct, and they express hostility like a psychopath does, a mentally disturbed population does. Like dogs express hostility by barking at you, demons express hostility by engaging in the elements of monitoring while they are group stalking and mad because you're exposing it. That speaks to the need for mental examinations. That speaks to the need of being placed in mental facilities. That speaks to the needs of personal, but permanent removal from all of the areas in life where you are posing a threat to the public. Because these demons are in law enforcement. These demons are sitting on benches. These demons are practicing law in the courts, calling themselves PDs and DAs. All right, and they are terrorists engaging in what is facilitation and failing, because their time is up with regard to engaging in any secret criminal system in the U.S., in California. That's over. Okay, so in all the ways in which you're engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, you're going to pay the consequences for it. All right, so this is the entity that's maintaining the demonic method, which is revealing what is federal group stalking and monitoring by a whole population in concert with that corrupt law enforcement agency. You're looking at the engineered light that's all over the apartments. This is engineered light that's all over the properties. This is the light source that's seen through the windshield of all the vehicles parked on the street. I want to be clear, it's seen through the windshield. This is not movement of anywhere. It is asininity, and it is patently absurd to suggest, oh, the sun just appears to be in the same position. That's how I'm able. There is no, I'm not even going to address that. There is nothing other than conclusive evidence of what is a light source and not the sun, a demonic environment where demons are group stalking, period. Because there is no position where you can ever reasonably contend, all right, that in other words, you are not under any circumstances even seeking to maintain an intelligent exchange, trying to define how you are able to see the so-called sun while I'm inside of the same address 11 hours from right now. It's 7:29. The sun is not going to maintain presence, because you know exactly what the entity is engaged in a pattern of. I documented day in and day out, and it maintains for purposes of prosecution and exposure of a corrupt government who is using and also simultaneously serving to prosecute the people of the state. And their matter of public corruption is fully exposed when you are understanding the unnatural environment, hence the unnatural behaviors that they are engaging, which are serving to maliciously target and torment an American citizen who have the presence of mind and the ability to document it and systematically itemize it and break it down for the world to understand it, for the federal government to prosecute it for. So there is no sun that's going to be 11 hours from now seen outside of my bedroom window. In addition, it is not over anyone in Ontario, California, where I'm documenting the light source over me. Oh, the two are happening at the same time. Oh, it's over the Ovid Family Community Library. It just appears as though it's over. No, it appears as though it's right over the same location, which is why you're looking at it. You can even see it through the windshields on the same property where I remain 11 hours from where I was at, which is, again, this is captured this morning, 6:55. This is 6:10 in the evening. That's P.O.C. These are demons, and the demons are stalking in helicopters. That's why you have, again, the evidence of the impossible, the loud volume of helicopter activity inside of my apartment, while that demon is flying at a great distance. You're flying over a whole other apartment building. That should not be disrupting my ability to not be disturbed with incessant helicopter activity. It shouldn't be rumbling my apartment, shouldn't be vibrating my apartment. It shouldn't be heard inside of my apartment, but it is. That's called amplification. And by the way, the ability to see amplification is when I show you a great distance, but yet the ability to hear and perceive. I don't have any schedule of them stalking, flying around in helicopters to know, oh, they're going to be over here at 3:22. So I'm going to make sure I'm in position so I can catch that on video. That's not what's happening. The entity is engaging in, as you have also seen, they try very hard to duck and dodge camera. They've been so foolish to do it right on camera. And then they engage in plenty of efforts to avoid camera. It doesn't matter whether you avoid it because they can't group stalk you in secret because they're maintaining audible activity. So they are in every way showing their engagement in the elements of monitoring, which is what I told you. What's the focus? It's elemental. The demons are engaging in a formula. It is formulaic. Elements of monitoring: light activity, relevant positioning, audible activity. Stalking in the path with amplified helicopter activity while that demon is flying at a distance. Nobody is deceived by that. That's Satan's formula for failing to appear disinterested and disconnected. You are fully engaged in group stalking and monitoring, and you're a demon seeking to do so, while that which is not the sun remains in alignment to me at the same property where I'm at 6:55 in the morning, showing you conclusive evidence of what you already know. There's no ability, in other words, to contradict it. There's no ability to avoid that, and I'm referencing the people of the state, to avoid their federal prosecution for acting in concert with that government. Engaging in what is terrorism, while you want to practice your satanic, ritualistic stalking and targeting someone because you need deliverance, because you need the Lord Jesus, and because you have not yet received that, you're going to be prosecuted, and you're going to suffer consequences on this side of eternity. You're going to be prosecuted in the natural. Criminal conduct, you're going to pay the price for. Because you bow down to Satan. That's the reality. That's the inspiration for what they're engaging in. That's the why as to the sick conduct. That's the why. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is criminal activity, though, and maintaining a very specific
If the sun was over me while I'm inside of my apartment at 8:55 in the morning, the sun is not going to be in any position. It's not in Ontario. While you're looking at it, you can see it through the windshields of the property. I'm parked at, these vehicles are parked at 1800 North Alvarado Street. That's the presence of the light source, which is right here in alignment to me. It's not at downtown courthouse over the Metro Courthouse. It's not over the car wash down the street like I captured after 7 p.m. as I went to down Clifford and went to the car wash. The light source moves as I move, and that's why it's still here after what is 6 p.m. It's 6:11 p.m. right now. As you can see it visible through. It's not at the Ovid Family Community Library where you can see it over the windshields of vehicles parked at this property while I am inside of my bedroom, where I'm looking outside of my living room window at 8:55. The entity is targeting with the sound of the helicopter activity. That is the means whereby a demon-possessed group stalker is flying a helicopter, engaging in the element of monitoring, specifically relevant positioning and audible activity. The demonic feature of those elements is the amplification. In the same way, a demon operating a vehicle, amplification is what characterizes that audible activity that coexists with their criminal presence, which is crossing path in what is in.
So I want you to see again, this is 6 in the evening. You're looking at what's occurring in my living room on the floor, the pattern of the blinds. This is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis at an upward trajectory. And this is, let me be clear, multiple layers of the pattern of the blinds. Here's one, and then here's another layer on top of that layer, and then here's the third one, another layer more bright on top of that layer. This has nothing to do with sunlight. This is entirely demonic. This is the maintenance of engineered light having nothing to do with the sun. You are literally breaking down the whole system. This is captured at 4:49 in the evening while I'm inside of the same apartment that I'm inside of right now. We're at 6:55 in the morning. The entity is maintaining a light source over me. That's not sunlight. This is a pattern of stalking with light. Where you are stalking with light, you're engaging in what are the demonic methods of group stalking. Group stalking is centered upon what is this engineered light that coexists with the very disturbing behavior of what the demon-possessed want to do. They actually want to pace in front of you. By pace, I mean they want to go back and forth, which is crossing path. You cross path in helicopter, you cross path by driving by, you cross path by walking by, you cross path while you're maintaining stationary presence inside of an apartment or inside of a house. And I am moving around, walking around inside of my apartment. That's how you're pacing, that's how you're crossing path. They do so while they maintain engineered light. It's maliciously present. That means hidden in plain sight. Well, it's hit while that environment is present through the unnatural environment. That's not sunlight, nor is that the sun that you see while I am inside of the same exact apartment, which is what you're seeing above at 6:10 p.m. And yesterday, June 14th, and today's June 15th, you're looking at the presence of the light sources. I captured it starting at 6:55 in the morning. This is the living room. What you're seeing above, this is my bedroom, which is that hallway right there, that window. That's not the sun, that's not sunlight.
Engineered light that's present 24/7. So I want you to look at this engineered light that's on the apartment here. You also look at this illuminated light that's on the window here. This is appearing literally at the bottom of the first floor of the light source that's above. It has absolutely nothing with the light source. This is just engineered light that's touching all over everything, okay? And it's speaking to actually what's covering all over everything. This engineered light that you see on the outside is engineered light that you see on the inside. This is where amplification of health.
That's the significance of amplifying helicopter activity. It's the elements of monitoring while I am physically present and my body is being molested, maintaining surrounding presence with that which is not sunlight. This is state action. The entity is maintaining this physical presence and the audible activity for purposes of monitoring me and engaging in what is federal stalking on the venue of the internet. The engineer light shall be prosecuted as what is instrumental to the state's stalking behavior, and that's why it is state action. Their demon possession is directly relevant to the demonic environment. That's why it is indeed state action. It's not going to be based on the fact that, oh, the demons of the LAPD, they don't have a wand and they don't have any spell books to keep engineer light inside the target individual's apartment. That's legally irrelevant. That's not what you are establishing the system of federal group stalking and monitoring on. These demons are acting pursuant to what is, again, well beyond the natural, and they are relying on, that's why I have the unnatural environment over me on a public bus, public transportation in an entirely different region, and the entity's maintaining presence in that. So they are acting in stride with Satan, okay? Your ability to do so in the role of government, abusing your role while you are stalking in that unnatural environment, it is state action. That's how you're prosecuting it. You're relying on this environment in order to maintain the system of group stalking in concert with the people. It's criminal facilitation while you are amplifying, heightening the unnatural volume, in other words, of what is activity. A demon flying a helicopter is extraordinarily loud, no matter whether they're flying directly over my head or whether they're flying well over in the depths of what is a field, just flying in a circle or just flying by. That's my ability to document that. That's why that's my ability to do so even at 2 o'clock in the morning and they're waking me up, but you're looking at the great distance. That's amplification, and that's how demons are targeting. This is how demons are targeting. Those demons are the government, and that's why it is state action. Okay, the environment is directly speaking to what the state is necessarily acting in concert to. No matter the fact that they themselves, whether they have some sort of pixie, that's not what we're here discussing. The government is stalking. The government's stalking behavior is identified through the unnatural environment, and it is relevant that it happens to be demonic. All right, and the government is doing so in concert with the people. Okay, LAPD, in a technical sense, is not living at 1806 apartment number 5. Joan Kim is. Joan Kim, who has the audacity to be granted the privilege to be in this country from Korea. She's on her way out after she sits in federal prison because she is maintaining presence on behalf of the state, which LAPD represents. This is the significance of the unnatural environment. Joan Kim engages in a pattern of stalking with audible activity. This demon will open and close her door. This demon will walk in beside the apartment outside. This demon will walk up and down the stairs. This demon will engage in just random conversation with regard to what I am doing as I am doing it, okay? Including on my phone when I'm not making any noises whatsoever, pursuant to what is the demonic behavior pattern that is maintaining activity, whether it's audible, physical, light activity. They're creating light activity while the demons move all around. Engineer light covers all over everything. So while this demon opens and closes her door, and you're not doing so coincidentally in the unnatural environment, you're understanding how the behavior is directly tethered to the unnatural environment, all in concert with the state that is stalking. Okay, so they are maintaining, as you see this engineer light on my ceiling inside of my bedroom, the demons are maintaining an ongoing course, an ongoing soundtrack with my every move and everything that I'm doing, including on a communication device. It includes these demons in helicopters. This is what I'm pointing out when I'm uploading video evidence and the entity is stalking with the audible activity of a helicopter. That is necessarily very close presence to engage in such knee-jerk behavior with helicopters at that. That's a demon. That's a very dangerous psychopath that is currently in a position of law enforcement. And let me be clear, let's refer to that as exactly what it is. Because in any other third world country, they'd be referred to as a terrorist organization. And that's exactly what they are. The LAPD is not a law enforcement agency. They're a terrorist organization. And they are engaging in what is no longer a secret, that the fact that they bow down to Satan, and they are entirely corrupted because of that. And they are engaging in what are the elements of monitoring. They have this demonic spirits on them, and they're monitoring. That's what they're doing. And they're monitoring in helicopters. This is what they are wasting resources on. This is what the great expenditure of funds to keep multiple helicopters gassed up 24/7 in order to keep somebody under surveillance, the somebody that's prosecuting them, and not only prosecuting them, making sure the world understands every detail of what they are engaging in and necessarily the mental illness, the mental sickness that they are suffering while they engage in it with knowledge of the fact that they are being exposed and the fact that they know exactly what is criminal. Okay, those demons that are part of law enforcement agencies that want to hide the fact that they're terrorist organizations Oh, they know very well that it's outside of the bounds of the Constitution, that they have no business engaging in this conduct. That's why they seek to do so in a demonic methods, which they thought beforehand would never be capable of being established. The one whom they're targeting would never have opportunity to be heard. Moreover, the inability to ever perceive that it could be literally broken down and proved with that which is tangible, while they're engaging in that which is spiritual. Okay, they're engaging in what is demonic, in other words, not anticipating the fact that spiritual darkness becomes therefore, legally relevant because of who you are and what you're doing. It therefore becomes legally relevant that the government is not only stalking me. Oh, these demons are doing so in very highly malicious manners, doing so in ways that are supposed to be beyond the ordinary person's ability to even define what these demons are doing. Like, what is that? It's not even sunlight. What is this? Okay, what is this that's on the ceiling inside of my hallway? So let me remind you about what I'm talking about, since I keep referencing it. The entity maintaining engineered light inside of the depths of my hallway. This is what you see inside of my hallway, inside of the dark hallway. The light activity that's appearing inside of my hallway, the dark hallway, and I want you to pay attention to how it is moving. This is engineered light, and it's dynamic. This is engineered light. You can see the movement. I'm standing still in my hallway, showing you what is the ceiling. So this is some mutated, contorted appearance of engineered light, the pattern of the blinds, and it is appearing in the depths of my hallway. And this is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:19 in the afternoon. And you will recall my video documentation where I pointed out the fact that the entity is engaging in that video was captured right here. It was appearing at the ceiling of the top area of my middle hallway. No one forgets that. So the entity with a straight face provides evidence, still stalking in helicopters at 6:55 in the morning. After 6 o'clock in the evening, it's still in alignment with my apartment. That's non-movement, period, on its face. And there is no expert that will ever get on the stand and establish anything other than that, okay? Not with a straight face. All right, not to be taken seriously. That is literally under all, so that you'll be on the stand committing a crime. So the entity is engaging in what is maintaining engineered light on the floor. And first of all, this isn't even sunlight, nor is that the sun, scientific facts, nor is that sunlight that's appearing in the middle of the hallway, having no provision to reach from any location whatsoever. And why did the entity? You are also analyzing the mind state. The demon-possessed, the demonic, in other words, that are using government actors, engaging in federal stalking and monitoring to everyone's demise. There is no relation to the natural environment whereby that light activity is ever occurring. And it's also not a coincidence that it occurs on the same day that I just so happen to point out that asinine use of light activity that I already exposed in this hallway. So it's not a coincidence that on the same day, the entity repeated that very, very spectacular light activity, stalking with light activity, because it's evidence against Jong Kim, for example. She's going to federal prison. Okay, and then she's gonna be shipped right back to Korea. If that's what they like to do in Korea, that's fine. She can go. That's where she's going. But you're not going to be in the United States engaging in this criminal system. And it is a matter of fact, conclusive evidence that she's group stalking in this specific environment in concert with the state that's group stalking. All right, the group stalking system, the entity is pointing at each other. The presence of the environment is pointing at the entity. The entity's conduct, it is in concerted conduct, and it is pointing at each other. This is how you're understanding the implosion of federal group stalking and monitoring, okay? The entity is engaging in conduct which relies on each other. It relies on the concerted activity, the concerted presence, and the concerted maintenance of a specific environment. There is no coincidences in doing so. Location of helicopter activity is targeted inside of my apartment, where you're looking at ongoing stalking amongst the phenomenon. Speaking to the demon possession of Dominic Choi in the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. 6:10 p.m. So this is what I'm capturing. It's 7:45 in the morning, and the entity is maintaining a light source outside of my living window as I start capturing at 6:55 today. There's no iteration of the natural environment whereby the sun is going to remain, but this is what the entity is doing with a light source. This is what is relevant when I am documenting stalking by the entity utilizing helicopters. This is why you go to that extent, because you're talking about not only civil recovery, which let me be clear, stalking by the government, and you're doing so in the shoes of the government, that company, that business, that owner, that board of shareholders, board of directors, they cannot afford to compensate. Oh, but their pockets shall be drained. But let me be clear, damages never before recognized under federal law is what the people of the state are engaging in. While you want to use your business, use your property, whatever it is that is being extended to the state, If the federal group stalking and monitoring is occurring on your real property, first of all, to facilitate a venue, you have stepped outside of any protections under the Constitution. You are not under expressing any freedom of speech rights. There's no privacy rights being exposed. The specific environment is that you are in the shoes of the state and you are acting in concert with that state's criminal system. The government is present. The government is doing so, maintaining presence through you, and it's not going to be based on some third-party group stalker, some company owner, in other words, legally irrelevant claim that, oh, I don't know anything, I don't even know the target individual. That's not what it's going to be based on. This is how you prosecute corruption, okay? Satan is a liar, in other words, and you have what is evidence that's establishing that they are fully cognizant of it, and you have the inability to have the ongoing pattern occurring from place to place to place, the ongoing pattern occurring amongst a people, a population, no matter where you are, no matter what time, on an ongoing basis, and you have what is also impossible, that the unnatural environment is a matter that's occurring outside of the knowledge of the people of the state, especially when you're looking at the stationary engineer light and that dynamic engineer light that coexists with their crossing a path, which is group stalking. These are the elements of monitoring that they are engaging in. You're basically stating what is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I'm group stalking. In other words, I'm engaging in the elements of monitoring, but it's unbeknownst to me. I have no idea that I'm doing it. No court is going to entertain that. So it's currently, by the way, 7:47 in the morning. This is what I continue to document, the fact that the entity is indeed engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. The entity does so on an ongoing basis. As I've also shown you, for example, the entity maintains the specific environment for the duration of the day. And what is so spectacular about this is because while the entity does so, it is to the exclusion. You can literally, in other words, look up the newscast for what's going on in Minnesota as they were recording anything, and look at the sun above their head. Okay, and this is a matter of common sense. And there is no shared environment with the sun that you'll see over someone in an entirely different state. And that's just giving a very vivid illustration of what is under no circumstances the sun, while the entity maintains the light source over me at one address all day long. There's no possibility for that. And so it serves to inform, but it also serves to also further establish the ability to see the sun over somebody else's head in another state is not suggesting that is what's being aimed over the vehicles seen through the windshields at the same address. That's not suggesting that it's the sun or that it's naturally occurring. It is revealing to you the evidence of exactly what I'm telling you. The demonic environment where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway here. This is revealing what is a demonic environment that defies the explanation as to how the so-called natural environment operates, because it is a scientific impossibility that the natural environment consists of the sun being over you in whatever area of Missouri that you can see on the internet, anybody uploading the video of any random sunny day on the same day. And I'm showing evidence of what is a light source while I stay inside of an apartment all day long, not moving, and neither did that light source. That's not the sun that's going to be over somebody in Missouri. Okay, and that's just giving a broader scale how this evidence, how the documentation, how this prosecution serves to inform the rest of this country. And it's also relevant. Also, it's exposing what's going on in the rest of the world, by the way. But it is revealing what is an unnatural environment, what is a very deceptive appearance of what we are just conditioned to accept and not question whatsoever. And it gives greater context to actually what's going on and who is around you. Okay, so not to create paranoia, it's nothing to be paranoid about, as you fully see, as you're witnessing, Satan is defeated. Okay, and as Satan that wants to engage in criminal conduct using people to do so, those people are going to be prosecuted under the letter of the law. Okay, there's no protection, and Satan is not going to help them. Satan has no rebuttal. There's no defense in federal court for what is evidence, tangible evidence that everyone can see and witness and observe, and it's going to serve a criminal purpose. It's going to serve a purpose for criminal conduct that the people of the state are engaging in. And yes, it is relevant. Yes, it is necessarily known that it is demonic. It is entirely demonic. It is entirely sick. And you have what are a lot of people that are of this condition, unfortunately. And you have a population of people that are going to learn some very hard consequences for engaging in this criminal conduct in the shoes of the state. All right. And so this is the entity that's maintaining. Let me be clear. Sex offenders currently have custody of minor children. They are training them up just like they are in third world countries to engage in terrorism in the United States. They are training them up to practice this criminal activity right now while wanting to, again, this is what is so disturbing because we present ourselves on the world stage as something that we are supposedly the example. We're supposedly a beacon of light. And I don't mean to say this to mock this. I am fully a believer. This is why I studied political science. This is why I went to law school. This is why I sought to practice law, because I am a believer in the Constitution. I am a believer in the visions that our founding fathers had. I believe in that system. I believe it is poetic, right? I believe in its notions. I believe that it does work. What you are witnessing is the ability to abuse that system, that the formulation of policies that are supposed to be an inspiration to the rest of the world. And you're looking at what is, in every way antithetical to the very notion of a constitution of freedom for us to be an example or speak to anyone else's condition, any other country's policies or what they are engaging in, while America is terrorizing its own citizens. And that's just the truth. All right. And it's not just the fact that America has just decided to turn on it and no longer be a free world, be a free country, be a free nation. It's that in America, we are not the Christian country, the so-called believers of God that we claim ourselves to be. And it is unmistakable. You cannot avoid that because the government. So this is speaking to what's massive. It's not a small thing. It's not a minor problem. It's in the government. It's amongst the population. So it is inevitable and it is a huge crisis. That's what this speaks to. Okay, so it is currently 7:53 in the morning and I'm going to digress. This is relevant to what is a federal prosecution of a corrupt government. And it is something that the rest of the world and literally American citizens in this country who call themselves believers, you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you believe in the Lord Jesus as your Savior, you call yourself a Christian, you need to be aware of what actually is going on. And if you're living under a rock, if you're ignorant about what Christians in this country are experiencing, what's actually going on out here, it does speak volumes about your actual knowledge regarding what the enemy is doing to the children of God. And it's not rainbows and lollipops and daisies. It's not. All right, this is not the Christian nation that you would like it to be. This is the reality of darkness that is reigning. Okay, but that reign is gone. Okay, that literally the time is up, and the Lord always wins. Okay, darkness does not win. All right, darkness is as long as there is a veil of secrecy. This is my purpose. This is the P.O.C. It's to blow that secret up. There will be no secrets. Everything that Satan is doing and who he is using to do it is fully going to be known. That is the dual purpose with regard to prosecution. We're not signing any NDAs. We're not agreeing to we're not doing any of that. I'm going to prosecute you. There is no price. You cannot pay me enough to keep quiet regarding what the government is doing. Okay, so the entity is engaging in what is criminal conduct, and it is of a demonic nature. It is literally occurring on the watch of those who serve Satan. And unfortunately, you have what are the state government. What's going on here is going on in Northern California. It's going on in Sacramento. It's going on in San Francisco. You name any corner of town, that's what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what the people are doing. This is what the government is engaging in. Any courthouse, I don't care what the name of that courthouse is, in the middle of Bakersfield in the desert, they're engaging in this. This is what is going on in California. Okay, so this is speaking to the reality, contrary to what people are speaking of regarding what is going on amongst Christians and how this is a Christian nation. This directly rebuts that. And this is a reality. This is a reality check. Okay, it is currently 7:55 a.m. on what is Saturday, June 15, 2024. And this is P.O.C. I'm pointing this out because everybody, with regard to real-time consequences, the demon possessed, the people of the state, these third parties, they have legal terms. And that everything that I'm speaking to, every term that's used to refer to them, even the fact that you're a demon-possessed person, this is legally relevant. You're a third party. You're an agent of the state. You're group stalking. You're going to be prosecuted. Where you want to live at a crime scene around the target individual, you go to federal prison for that. That is no small thing. Everything coming out of your mouth, the state speaks. Everything you write down, like speaker companies, the people of the state put it in a document, I'm going to prosecute them for that. The corporate office is going to federal prison. All right, seeking to obstruct justice while I remain subject to terrorism on an ongoing basis of a demonic nature. It is 7:54. The entity is maintaining the light source well into the end of the day as I am documenting a sunset, as I am showing as a matter of evidence, a conclusive evidence where the entity is under no circumstances keeping me surrounded in the natural environment, keeping me surrounded in a specific environment where engineered light and what is the light source that remains in perfect alignment with me well into the evening. That's not the sun, that's still present at the end of the day. And as I showed inside of my room, maintaining engineer light. Just cycling engineer light. This is entirely demonic. All over my ceilings, all over my walls, having nothing to do with the natural environment. That's what this is. This is stalking with engineer light, stalking with a light source, and the whole illusion is shattered. This isn't the sun, nor is that sunlight. And the government that's engaging in the system, let me be clear, Jong Kim represents the government. You do not have a legally relevant argument. Oh, it's because I'm under a 1-year lease and I couldn't move out. I didn't even know any. Nobody cares about that. This is the corrupt system. This is malice. Your lease, in other words, you think because you're coming and mowing the grass that you have a legally relevant basis to state, oh, I shouldn't be prosecuted as a terrorist in the U.S. You are sorely mistaken. Because the government has what are resources, and it is doing it through the people. So the means whereby you are group stalking, you're going to be prosecuted. You're going to learn how it is irrelevant for purposes of avoiding a federal prosecution. It's directly relevant for understanding what it is that you use. So since you want to use your residency at a facilitating venue, that residency is going to land you in federal prison. And if you aren't even a natural born citizen in this country, after you serve time, you're out of this country permanently. Nobody cares about where you're going to resign. Nobody cares about how you're going to gather your retirement. That's no issue of any American citizen whom you are targeting with a corrupt government seeking to discard that person. That's why you group stalk someone in the shoes of the state for very evil, wicked purposes. So it is currently, again, 7:58 a.m. and this is P.O.C.